Uh, poor Crucible.
Oh boy,
Amazon
I
has.
hardly knew.
I don't know. There's not a verb.
I don't
in the,
know
I don't
you.
think there's a verb in the English language to describe what just happened to Crucible. It launched, and then it unlaunched, and then it entered beta again, and now it has been canceled. Is that an accurate summary of what has happened with Crucible?
Yes. So they released Crucible. God, let me load up Crucible, the Crucible page on Steam, and we can see if we can figure out a timeline for.
I have a quick question.
Events. Go ahead.
At any point, were you able to buy Crucible?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
yes. They have said. We'll just get it out of the way now. They have said they will be issuing full refunds for anyone who spent money on Crucible. So
okay.
So May 20th is the date listed on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
And Crucible, if you don't know, is a 4v4 like team-based shooter. You had some abilities. It was sort of busted at launch. Like they kind of made you play the tutorial multiple times. Like they had a recommendation, like, hey, if you play the tutorial and it doesn't advance, try playing the tutorial again.
Right.
And that was where I went like, I'm good. I'm good. It wasn't a MOBA, but it wasn't. So it was okay. You could see a world where you go like, all right, yeah, I guess like a 4v4 team shooter with some kind of more objective-y based stuff. Like, yeah, it wasn't necessarily a terrible game, but it was a situation where upon playing it, it was this and seeing people play it, and Ben played some more of it than I did. And I think the consensus there was something like, this is not going to find an audience, and it doesn't necessarily have a reason to exist. Right. Which is like a shitty situation for a game to be in, but we're in a world where the legs on so many of these multiplayer games and shooters and stuff are just so long. The long tail, it gets longer and longer with all of those types of games, that if you're coming out with something like that and not just burning it up, you just look at it and go like, why'd you do it?
I hadn't thought about it that way, but that is a real sink or swim kind of market, isn't it? And like that game launched with like essentially no player base, right? Like, wasn't it like?
Yes, and it was So at launch, it was fucked up in a way. You know, I don't know if it was a matchmaking situation or just no one bought the game, but like, I did eventually get through the tutorial and try to find a match and couldn't, and it was just like, all right, this is launch week. Like, what are we doing? And that was the last time I thought about Crucible. And then they went ahead and announced, hey, we are going to scale Crucible back to one mode that we think is the mode we can build around. And as such, we are kind of pulling it back into closed beta. Anyone who bought it can still play it. You can buy it if you want, and we'll hold regular play tests with the community as we work to build this game. So that gave them like...
community.
Yeah, well, yeah, but like the community that was still there, like, hey, here's when you should play, because this is when we're focusing our play tests. Come by on Tuesday night and maybe you'll find a match, like that type of thing. And then that was the last I think anyone said the word Crucible out loud until the other day when they said they talk about the evolution of the process and determining the path forward. That evaluation led us to a difficult decision. We'll be discontinuing development on Crucible. Ultimately, we didn't see a healthy, sustainable future ahead for Crucible. We'd be transitioning our team to focus on New World and other upcoming projects from Amazon Games.
So like New World is pretty big, right? I mean, it's not out yet, but when they ran that limited time beta, it seemed pretty popular. So
people seemed interested in it. I think they maybe did a better job of like seeding a streamer, like, you know, paying people to stream that game when their beta was happening, and that's like doing the marketing like work.
Right. That's the kind of dirty undercurrent of all this that I hadn't really mentioned was that Valorant came out like less than a month before Crucible did.
Yeah, and that certainly didn't help.
Valorant, but also Valorant did the whole like, hey, watch a bunch of streamers who are playing this, who are affiliated with us, and you might get a key for this. Like,
you might get a key for the game.
Like, yeah, they totally did that whole thing.
Valorant,
and Crucible did not.
I feel like Valorant rapidly ascended into that echelon of games that I never hear anyone talk about, but assume is quietly big.
Yeah, that's
because when people do talk about it, it's like, oh no, Valorant's still happening. Because like, I feel like past like week 2 of Valorant, like there's been very little discussion that has reached like me. Like I'm not running in those circles, whatever. But you just kind of hear about it and you just go like, oh, okay, apparently Valorant is still a big deal. I hope they fixed the effects on the abilities because they looked like shit. But yeah, man, you're right. That definitely doesn't help. So their thing here is they're offering a full refund. And they've disabled the ability to purchase credits. And in the next few weeks, they'll be hosting a final play test and community celebration, both in-game and in our official Discord. After that point, we'll be disabling matchmaking, so you can still play through custom games. And then the custom games will drop off, will go offline noon Pacific time, November 9th. Just in time.
You guys do it November 9th.
Yeah. I don't, yeah.
You guys want to get together with the community of Crucible?
I don't know if anyone can, like, I don't know if you could get access to it.
Yeah,
if you go to the Steam page, because I own it already, so I can download it.
Yeah, let me open an incognito window and see if you can't purchase it at this point, I assume, right?
I would assume so, but like that would be.
Yes, they have removed all of the kind of buy now button stuff on the Steam page is just straight up gone. So,
damn.
Oh man, I mean,
so if you're in, you're in, baby.
Yeah, like it wouldn't make much sense to let you buy it now and then just have to refund you in a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I feel bad for the developers. I mean that last line is like kind of poignant. This has been a labor of love, and we're grateful for the time we got to spend on Planet Crucible with you.
Yeah, that's a fucking bummer. Like when I say stuff like, "Hey, this maybe doesn't have a reason to exist," like I don't mean that in a way to shit on the people that work. I mean, obviously, like people put a lot of fucking time in it, and at least some of them, I'm sure, were incredibly passionate about it. But you just look at it and go like, in this market, is that the bet you want to place?
Yeah.
Like, I guess they probably had to place that bet years ago, right? Like, I assume they've been working on it for a very long time, and it's just fucking brutal. So I don't know, man. I wonder how Hyperscape is doing.
Yeah.
Like, I know they've been proceeding with their seasons, right. and it definitely seems like there are people out there digging what that game is doing. I don't dislike Hyperscape, but it was also that feeling of like, this seems cool, but I don't think this is the one of these I want to play. It's not even the second one of these. Like I would play Apex, I would play Warzone, I think, at this point, and then I might even go back to PUBG before I, decided to get deep into Hyperscape. But I don't know. They still keep doing stuff to it and having their seasons and all this stuff. I'm just curious. I just wonder how is that going for them? But yeah,
it's a good question.